all my stress. You pick me up and you let me catch my breath. Lord, you never condemn, never make a list of wrongs. In the light of your goodness, all the fear I've known is gone. I'm safe in your arms of love. I'm safe in your arms of love. All of my heart, my hope, my trust is held safe in your arms of love. Safe in your arms of love.
You were there when there was nothing left. A spark of hope where I saw emptiness. Somehow, even in pieces, you restore me with your peace. In the
Driest of deserts, you're the never-ending stream. Safe in your arms of love. Safe in your arms of love. All of my heart, my hope, my trust is held safe in your arms of love. Safe in your arms of love. And the only shadow I see is the shadow of your wings, the shadow of your wings. And the only shelter I need is the shadow of your wings, the shadow of your wings. And the only shadow I see is the shadow of your wings, the shadow of your wings. And the only shelter I need is the shadow of your wings, the shadow of your wings. I'm safe in your arms of love. Safe in your arms of love. All of my heart, my hope, my trust is held safe in your arms of love. Safe in your arms of love. Hey guys, welcome to Venture Church. We're so glad you could be here with us this morning as we worship a God who can be our shelter in times of need. We're safe in His arms of love. We can find hope in Him. We're going to worship that God this morning. I invite you to stand and sing with us. If you're new to Venture, new to church, I just want to say thanks so much for joining us, and feel free to participate however you feel comfortable. The first song we're going to sing just talks about how we want to give God all of our praise. With every breath we live, we want to glorify God. Just feel free to participate however you feel comfortable this morning. I find my refuge. I find my refuge under the shadow of your wings. It's in your presence I feel your nearness. I feel your nearness and your peace. Come on, all praise. All praise. All praise. With every breath we live to glorify you, Lord. All praise. All praise. We will bless your name through every high and low. I find my refuge under the shadow of your wings. It's in your presence I feel your nearness. I feel your nearness and your peace. All praise, all praise. With every breath we live to glorify you, Lord. All praise, all praise. We will bless your name in every high and low. No matter what comes, we can worship God and remember that He is good and that what He does is good. I'll keep singing, singing of the wonder I have found. I'll keep singing, singing as your miracles break out. I'll keep singing, singing of the wonder I have found. I'll keep singing, singing as your miracles break out. I'll keep singing, singing of the wonder I have found. I'll keep singing, singing as your miracles break out. I'll keep singing, singing of the wonder I have found. I'll keep singing, singing as the miracles break out. All praise, all praise. With every breath we live to glorify you, Lord. All praise, all praise. We will bless your name through every high and low. All praise, all praise. With every breath we live to glorify you, Lord. All praise, all praise. We will bless your name through every high and low.
Here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down, every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender. And I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender.
This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down, every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender.
And I will make
Room for you
to do whatever
you want to
do whatever
you want to.
I will make
Room for you
to do whatever
you want to
do whatever you want to.
I will make room for you
To do whatever you want to do whatever
you
you
want to
I will
make room for you
to do whatever
you
you
want to
do whatever
you
you
want to. Shake up the ground of all my traditions, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Your way is better. Shake up the ground of all my traditions, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Yeah, your way is better. Shake up the ground of all my traditions, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Yeah, your way is better. Shake up the ground of all my traditions, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Your way is better. Make room
for you to do whatever
you want to
do whatever you
want to.
I will make room
For you
to do whatever
you
you
want to
do whatever you
want to.
Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing. facing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.
Lord, have your way in our hearts this morning. Help us to die to ourselves and to make room for you, to help us to grow, to live inside of us, God, and to help us to grow and to help us to spread your love with other people. But let us start with our own hearts, God. In your name we pray. Amen. Hey, you guys can grab a seat.
Well, good morning and welcome to Venture. My name is Braden. If we haven't met before, I'd love a chance just to connect with you sometime. If you see me up here during announcement time, it means we're like not on first choice, second choice, third choice. We're like on like the fourth or fifth option for being up here. And sometimes that happens either because nobody else is available to do this part or because we just haven't planned ahead enough. And that's one of those kind of weeks this week. Some of you know what's going on in my life, and here I am. But part of that, I say that because I need to apologize, and I'm creating problems in my own family this morning because we usually have a few dozen donuts here that we give away for free, and we don't this morning because I forgot. So that's on me. So we get our donuts from Sprinkles down by the airport, and we have a few different people that live down that direction. Sometimes swing by, and if I forget to say, hey, would you swing by and get them? That's on me. So if you want a donut sometime, I'll buy you one. Just come see me. It's on me. If you're checking things out, if you're just a guest here, we just want to welcome you. We hope you have a great experience. We do talk about being a church for no perfect people allowed, just like me. And we want to help you take some steps as you maybe explore or look to experience faith in your own life. A way that you can introduce us to yourself, just let us know you're here, is through our guest card. There's physical cards at our Welcome Center, or you can go to our website, ven.church, or one of the QR codes. There's a couple questions, and it lets us know that you're here, and we have a gift for you just to say thanks for coming and checking things out this morning. I just want to let you know about a few things that are coming up here at Venture. One of them is throughout the month of February, we have a project where we are going to be collecting supplies for the Boys and Girls Club here in Muskegon. We're excited to build a partnership with our collaborating churches of Journey, Restore, and Venture here with the Boys and Girls Club. If you were paying attention to the news, they were just getting ready after a multi-million-dollar renovation for their facility right on Muskegon Lake downtown to open, and right before that happened, an arsonist burned their facility, caused millions of dollars in damages, and pushed their grand opening timeline back by months, if not even a year. And we've been talking to them the last few months, just saying, how can we help? How can we be there? And one of the things is once they're about ready to open, they're going to need help moving stuff around, getting the building clean and stuff like that. And we've already, as collaborating churches, have already said, hey, we're your people. Let us know. So in the months ahead, we're excited to come on site and help them with that. But the other thing they approached us with last month, they said, after the holidays and all that, we could really use some help resupplying some of the things that we have. So with our collaborating churches, we're going to be doing a snack supply drive for the next few Sundays here. Just bring in some different healthy snacks, granola bars, things like that. And there's a list on our website of things you can bring in, and we're just going to give them to them at each of their locations. They supply snacks every day for the kids that are there, so we're just going to help along the way as well. Also, last Sunday, we postponed our chili cook-off. There was this really exciting and then really disappointing football game that was happening. And so we postponed the chili cook-off We're going to do it at the end of this month. Chili Cook-Off is a chance for some friendly competition, chance to connect with some others, and just get to know some other people here at Venture as well. So just want to let you know about that coming up in a few weeks. There's more details on that as well. And then I just want to thank you for your generosity here at Venture. What you donate through your generosity fuels everything we do here. Last week at our partnership meeting, we presented what we consider a modest budget for this upcoming year, and the only way any of this happens is with your help in the midst of that as well. And partnership isn't just like a financial commitment to Venture. Partnership is a way for you to say, I am in on the mission. I want to use my gifts. I want to serve with my time, and I want to support the mission of God here as well. And I just want to let you know just one little piece, kind of how that works. And if you don't know the story, a couple weeks ago, my wife had a skiing accident, broke her leg, in a pretty significant way. She had a first surgery a couple weeks ago, and her next surgery is tomorrow morning. She's been on bed rest for a couple weeks. And I will just let you know we're so grateful for the help of this community. We've had so many meals provided, and people have been we're grateful for that. And one of the things that just in the back of my mind the whole time is, okay, how much is this going to cost, right? And we started a new health insurance plan through her work a few months ago. We weren't really sure what to expect. And we're really grateful because there's like $100,000 in estimated bills coming through all this. And because of this plan that we had shifted over to, it looks like our out-of-pocket expenses for this whole thing is going to be like less than $3,000. And I let you know that we try to live according to the same like principles that we operate as a church and that Dave Ramsey has taught through Financial Peace University. We try to, as a family, lead with generosity and then save some of our funds and then live on the rest of that as well. And we have savings and we've got an HSA. And there's really, the one thing that I can say is there's not a financial burden on top of everything going on in this. And I say that because we're trying to lead by example, and because of that, that's the one piece of this whole equation that we didn't have to panic about. Like, that'll be covered as well. And I say that also because we've never wanted to be a financial burden to our church as well. There are certain situations I could have come like, hey, we need tens of thousands of dollars. Could you guys help? And we've never wanted to be that to our church as well. And I would encourage you, if you would be in a similar situation and you know that this would be a really significant challenge to you, there are plans according to the Bible, and Dave Ramsey teaches Financial Peace University and helps with all this stuff. There's ways that you can live the same kind of way we can. I encourage you to take some steps that way as well. So just want to let you know, I'm grateful that that's one of the things we're not concerned about in the midst of all of this as well. So there's a little intermission time. The kids can go to the classrooms if you want to grab a coffee. Sorry, there's no donuts. If you want to connect with a friend, just have a few minutes here now. I did want to also thank you for your prayers through this whole season. We've had people communicate with us from around the country, actually around the world, that they've been praying for our family in these last couple of weeks. And I will say that we have felt that and we have sensed that. There are certain times in my job as a pastor where I know that the only thing that gets me through a message or a day is the presence of God's Spirit. Kind of feels like kind of carrying me through, and this morning is another one of those kind of days as well. We are in this series that we've been in for several months now, called The Way, where we've been looking at the book of Acts in the New Testament of the Bible and seeing how it's a story not just about what God was doing in the lives of those first followers of Jesus, but it's actually an invitation for us to participate in what God continues to do in our world right here and right now. And this morning we are going to be in Acts chapter 12. And if you have your Bible with you, or if you want to open the Bible app on your phone, we're just going to be reading through this chapter together. And it's actually one of the chapters in the book of Acts that the scholars say it actually doesn't even necessarily make sense. And in some ways they say it's one of the chapters that if you cut it out of the book of Acts, you wouldn't really necessarily feel like you were even missing anything. And yet when I was getting ready for this message, I felt like there's one very clear message that Acts chapter 12 wants us to hear loud and clear. It's the reason that it's part of the book of Acts, and it's all about the role that prayer plays in our world and in our lives. I just want you to think about this question as we jump in this morning. But what do you think would happen if people stopped praying? And I don't mean just like a few individuals stopped praying, like just got a little bit tired or lazy or just forgetful or something like that. What if there was like, maybe like the on-off switch or something, the button that you could press, and you press the stop button on prayer, where no one in the world prayed anymore? What do you think would happen? It's just kind of a hypothetical. Actually, I don't know what the actual answer to that is. But do you think like our world would just go like sort of haywire and everything would go crazy? Do you feel like if people stopped praying that God would be done with us and God would stop intervening in our world? Do you think if we stopped praying, do you feel like it probably wouldn't make any difference? Like I bet life would just go on and whatever the world would keep going? Do you think that God would do something to get our, like what do you, if we just stopped praying, what do you think would happen? I was I think it was like 7 years old, and I went to my pediatrician's office, and they did the normal eye exam. They make you look through the little machine, and I don't remember if it's letters or shapes or whatever, but kind of tell them what you see and stuff like that. And I remember looking through the machine, and I looked at the nurse that was giving me this eye exam, and I said, "Hey, there's like a smudge on the lens of your machine, like it's blurry, and I can't see a." And yeah, 7-year-old kid, what does he know? And so I do the exam, and they say, you need to go get your eyes checked by an optometrist. I was like, no, I don't. It was the machine. And I could see that and so I go to the optometrist, and not the biggest deal in the world. A lot of you have done this before, but you have to get your eyes dilated, and it kind of ruins the rest of your day because the light is bright, and you wear the funny little sunglasses and stuff like that. And I get headaches easily, so I got a bad headache that day, and just kind of ruined my day, right? And the optometrist called my parents, said, your son has 20/15 vision, which means what most people can see at 15 feet, I can see at 20 feet, meaning I have better than normal vision, meaning that I've got vision like better than 95% of humans that walk the face of the planet. And I said, I know. Thanks for telling me. It was the machine. And I, to this day, am still a little disgruntled and a little frustrated by that whole experience. I still have really good vision, and to the extent that I don't know if you told me I needed to go get my checked if I would believe you. And you could probably come and stab me in both eyeballs right now. And I'd probably still, in my head, think that you're the one that needs your vision checked or something like that, because I've developed a little bit of a complex when it comes to my eyes through all of this stuff. And so when my youngest daughter came home from school with a report that she needed her vision checked, I'm kind of like, yeah, right. She's got my genes. Perfect vision, eagle vision, superhero vision, whatever you want to call it. How could that possibly be true? So I'll be honest, I just wanted to sort of ignore it Then we send her to an optometrist, and the optometrist's like, actually, we think there's something going on that you need to go to like a specialist for. I'm like, come on. This is all sort of nonsense. This is what I'm thinking in my own head. Any of my offspring must have incredible, better than normal vision. And it turns out that my youngest actually does have a condition that she needed. Not only did she needed glasses, she actually needed some corrective steps in order to help improve her vision through all of that. And I really, struggled to understand what was this from. In my own mind, I'm like, she's got my genes. Like, how could this be? And the doctor said it has nothing to do with you or genetics, just the way her eye is formed or whatever. But then the other is, what exactly does this mean for her life? And so it came to sort of accept it. And for the last year, we've been going through this process. And I don't know why I hadn't thought to do this earlier, but the last time we went to the eye doctor, I actually put her glasses on. Like, how bad is it really? And I put her glasses on. I couldn't see anything. And I realized she's got a really strong prescription for her eyeglasses. And I realized she really does need these. And we're grateful that she's made the steps now with glasses. She sees 20/20 and stuff like that. But I think when it comes down to this, sometimes we realize that we can't see the world without some help. We can't see things as they really are, maybe with a lens to kind of correct our own vision and our own understanding of things. And sometimes to actually see what's going on in the world, it's like we have to find a new lens to see it through. And we're in Acts chapter 12, and we're just going to read these first couple of verses of Acts chapter 12. It says this: "It was about this time that King Herod arrested some who belonged to the church, intending to persecute them. He had James, the brother of John, put to death with the sword. When he saw that this met with approval among the Jews, he proceeded to seize Peter also. This happened during the festival of unleavened bread. After arresting him, he put him in prison, handing him over to be guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring him out for public trial after the Passover." And I just want to pause there before we continue in Acts chapter 12, because I think the reality is we're in the middle section of the book of Acts. We've seen what God has been doing in this small community of first followers of Jesus, but what's happening is the good news about Jesus isn't being contained to one small community. It's starting to spread out into the world, and even to among what we looked at last week, the Gentile people, the misfits, the outsiders, the people that didn't belong to the chosen ones of God. And at the same time, this first community of followers of Jesus, you can start to see where maybe fear and struggle starts to set in, where now there are authorities that want to stop the spread of this good news, and they will go to the extent of having people arrested, imprisoned, executed for being followers of Jesus. And I imagine for this community of followers of Jesus, it probably felt like their footing was a little shaky, or maybe even felt like the earth under them was unsteady, because it felt like maybe at any moment in time they might have to pay the cost for following this good news of Jesus. And I say that because I actually think there's a way that we can relate to that in our own world. We have freedoms in our country that we don't have to suffer the same result, but I also know what our world feels like right now to so many people. And I wish the reality that we're going through were different. But just this week, I've gotten multiple reports of somebody being diagnosed with cancer. I've gotten multiple people saying, so-and-so's in the hospital, it's not looking good, would you be praying for them? I've got multiple reports this week of somebody losing a close family member. I've got multiple reports this week of a family splitting up through divorce, and this is just sort of unending in our world. It's not like this is just this week. It goes to weeks and months and years prior to this. And then I think you add on top of that the fact that this is an election year, and it's only just getting going, and it feels like this could just become such a disaster this year. And then you look at some of the economic or the financial forecasts for the months and years ahead, and so many people are concerned about their jobs and their wages and the cost of our lives these days, and I say that because I think for so many of us, it feels like we're existing on shaky ground. You almost long for what can I actually hold on to? What can I grasp onto? It seems like there's so much hardship that so many people are experiencing right now. And what do we do? What do we cling to in a season like that? And where do we go? And this is what it says about these first followers of Jesus. That in times like this, I think there's different responses that might be natural, might be understandable when we're really going through it. I think one is to sort of numb ourselves to it, right? Drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, like if I could just turn off the feelings and numb myself, maybe it will go away. And I think we've seen an increase in that in our society, maybe in your own life or in your family. One is to distract ourselves. Let's keep busy. Let's have fun. Let's just, maybe if we just stay on the move all the time, it'll just sort of go away or work itself out. We could just ignore it. I think one of the reactions to a season like this is to try to escape, to come up with a plan, just be like, I'm just going to leave the world behind, just kind of live on my own. I have an uncle that lives outside of Las Vegas, and he texts me pretty regularly. He's got a survival school. He says you have your go bag ready. He's learning ham radio operations and stuff like this. I'm like, what? He's 75 years old. I'm like, so you escaped from the Russian invasion, but like, how long you got? If you're 25, I get it. Maybe you want to figure out how to make a life for yourself off the grid or something like that. But that's some people's reaction to this world is like, I'm just going to make sure that I'm prepared for whatever's coming and I can make it on my own. And I think about our church, and I'm not saying just Venture Church, but I think about the church in America in general. And there are parts of our country where there's like a church on every corner at an intersection. And churches have TV stations and followings on the internet, and we have political influence in a sense, if you will. And some people would argue about all of that. And we have our Christian celebrities and stuff like that. And at the same time, it feels like even though the church in America is prevalent, it feels like it's powerless to do anything about our current reality. Like, why is that? Like, it feels like even though there's a lot of Christians in our world, in our country, and even though there's a lot of influence, like, are we just on a ship headed for an iceberg with nobody able to turn the wheel to do anything about it? And I think it might be because we've lost what fueled this early church. It says this in verse 5. So Peter was kept in prison, but the church was earnestly praying to God for him. But the church was praying for one of their leaders, one of their influencers, a man who didn't deserve it but was arrested in prison, probably likely to be executed for the crime of following Jesus. And their solution wasn't to numb themselves, to hope it would go away, to stay busy, hoping to distract themselves, or to just try to run away from it all. They gathered together and they earnestly prayed. And we see that prayer is what fuels the church in those days. And I would say, I would argue that perhaps maybe in our world we've lost sight of that a little bit. Sometimes churches have put more emphasis on programs or celebrities, budgets, whatever it is. But we've lost sight of the thing that what fuels everything about the work of Jesus is our prayer. Like a vehicle that needs gas to be driven, prayer is that fuel that makes it all go. It's what drives the mission of the church forward. And I wonder if at times we've lost sight of that. He goes on to say this in the verses that continue. The church is praying. Peter's in prison, and it goes on to say, so Peter was kept in prison, but the church was earnestly praying to God for him. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound with two chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. Suddenly the angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him up. "Quick, get up," he said. And the chains fell off Peter's wrists. Then the angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals," and Peter did so. "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." The angel told him. Peter followed him out of the prison, but he had no idea that the angel was doing was really happening. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the first and second guards and came to the iron gate leading to the city. It opened for them by itself, and they went through it. When they had walked the length of one street, suddenly the angel left him. I don't know about you, but it sounds like a weird story. Like, what's going on? Peter is in prison. He's surrounded by a whole bunch of guards. He's actually chained to some of them. He's inside of a prison cell. There's gates that lead in and out of the prison, and he finds himself encountering an angel from God that sets him free, that leads him out of the jail, and then leaves. And I think there's a way in which rationally we want to say, well, are you sure about that? Didn't you just have an inside guy? Maybe one of the guards was like following Jesus and let him loose, or what's going? Or are you sure this is all happened how he remembers all of it? And the reality is that people who live by faith and are fueled by prayer have these weird God stories that you say, I don't even know how to explain what's happening in my life or what I experienced, because I'm not sure there's even a reasonable kind of earthly explanation for this, but I feel like God did something, and that's all I can say about it. And I think we have these weird God stories, and sometimes we're either afraid to say something about them because they just sound weird, kind of like Peter's story. We're afraid that other people might judge us because of these stories, or we're afraid to say them because it's just weird, and we're weird, and Christians can be weird sometimes, and that's just the reality of all of that stuff. Like, I think about my own life. Just this week, I was thinking about a friend of mine. I was driving on the highway, and I just found out a couple days before that his wife had been diagnosed with cancer. And I was on the highway, and I was thinking about him. I started praying for him, and I had committed to myself that as soon as I got to where I was going and parked the car, I was going to text him to say, hey, I've been thinking about praying for you. And it was less than a minute later, I got off the highway, and I turned in to the place that I was going, and he's on the exit part of that thing, so 2 lanes, and I sort of stopped in the middle of the road. I don't know if this is the right thing or not, and I saw him. I said, I was just thinking about you, and I was just praying for you. How do you want to explain that? Coincidence? Sure. But some sort of manifestation? I mean, you can go that way if you will, but I would like to say that I saw God working in my own heart, my mind, and my life, and put an opportunity in front of me to sort of encourage him, let him know that I was praying for him. It's a weird story. I don't know why that happened. But I think people who are living by faith and are fueled by prayer see this happen more and see God working in a different way. I think about back when I was 17 years old, I was out in the woods of northern Michigan on a February weekend. I was there with some other teenagers and some of our youth leaders at the time, and we were in this experience. We were trying to kind of have some fun and grow in our relationship with God and connect with others, stuff like that. And it was a time in my life where God was doing some really neat things to transform the lives of some of my closest friends. And it was a very exciting and a very challenging time in my life because I was also afraid of a lot. Graduating high school, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go with my life? What am I supposed to do as a job? And I was asking a lot of self-reflective questions in that season. I was also trying to do the best I could to pray and hear from God and understand what He would want to do in my own life. And I went for a walk in the woods by myself. If you know me well enough, I need time by myself as much as I need time with other people. It's one of the ways that I hear from God and connect from God. So I went for a walk. It was nighttime. I had this little pocket flashlight with me, and I was walking. I could hear other people, but I couldn't see anyone, just in the woods. And I have no idea why I was doing this, but I was holding the flashlight in such a way that my fingers were like this over the flashlight opening. So the light was reflecting in a strange way off the snow. I don't know why I was doing this. Um, I was anxious, excited, worried. I'm hopeful about so much in my life. And I'm walking in the woods, and I look down on the snow, and for what I perceived, the light shone on the snow in the image of or the shape of an angel to me. I can't prove this. I didn't take a picture of it. It's just one of those weird God things that sound crazy to you. That's fine. I can live with that. But in that moment, what that said to me is that I wasn't alone, and that God favored me and loved me and had plans for my life. And I broke down in the middle of the woods all by myself, because in a moment where I needed to hear God's voice, he showed me something that was an encouragement to me. I say that because you don't need to try to be weird just to prove that you're a Christian or following Jesus. That's not what this is about. Some people go a little overboard trying to be weird, but it is okay if people who have put their faith and trust in the belief that God is not far off, but sent his son to die on a cross, to be raised from the grave so that we have hope beyond this life. If the way that you encounter that in your life through prayer leads to some weird God stories in your life, that's okay. And you don't have to try to justify them or explain them to other people. You just kind of say, it's what God said to me in a moment in my own life. Weird God stories are normal stories for people that are fueled by prayer. People that are living their lives saying, hey God, what are you doing in the world in my life? I want to see you at work. Here's what it goes on to say. So Peter has this weird God story. I was in prison. I was chained to some people. There's a guard. And here's his response to this weird God story. Then Peter came to himself and said, now I know without a doubt that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from Herod's clutches and from everything the Jewish people were hoping would happen. When this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant named Rhoda came to answer the door. When she recognized Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed, she ran back without opening it and exclaimed, Peter's at the door. What a friend. This guy we thought was in jail, he's out, but I left him because I was like, another weird part of the story. Who does that? Oh, my friend is here. I'm just going to leave him outside where they might be searching for him or whatever. Her friends responded, you're out of your mind, they told her. When she kept insisting that it was so, they said it must be his angel. But Peter kept on knocking, and when they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. Peter motioned with his hand for them to be quiet and described how the Lord had brought him out of prison. Tell James and the other brothers and sisters about this, he said, and then he left for another place. See, I think when we see this, Peter is the one that had walked on water because Jesus called him out of the boat. And Peter's also the one that had denied Jesus. And Peter's also the one that Jesus restored. And Peter's also the one that is seeing people healed and restored and walk who had been lame and be brought to new life. Peter's the one that's seen this, and he sort of sees this as just another one of these God stories in the world. And he doesn't actually make a big deal of this story. He doesn't stand in front of these first followers and be like, see how amazing I am? Like, God loves me. He sends me angels. All he does is say, this is another story of what God is doing in our midst. And we see that it's through that lens that he's seeing God work, that prayer is the lens through which we see God work in our lives, in our world. The believers have gathered and they're praying, and Peter's in the prison praying. And when God does something that it's hard to explain, all he says is, God's at work. God's at work. And then it goes on in the next few verses. It's this story about how Herod finds out, and because Peter had escaped, his order is for all of the guards to be executed. If you want to know the kind of person that Herod is, when things don't go his way, anybody he can blame, his response is to kill them. And it goes on that he had some trouble with some other cities, and he went to new place to deal with this trouble. And here's the response that we see in verse 21. On the appointed day, Herod, wearing his royal robes, sat on his throne and delivered a public address to the people. They shouted, "This is the voice of a God, not of a man." In other words, they're sort of flattering him. They know how powerful he is and trying to say, "Thanks, man." Immediately, because Herod did not give praise to God, an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he was eaten by worms and died. I don't know if you like the outcome of that story, if you're like, yeah, Quentin Tarantino movie right there or something like that. Or if you're like, this is all weird. It is weird. The interesting thing is Josephus, a historian in the time that's apart from the Bible, he actually wrote about this instance. And this is how Herod died. That he got sick, and maybe it was a couple days, but he died, and the historians argue that it was probably something that led to infection that probably led to something like a tapeworm or ringworm or something probably consuming him. So it's just a weird story. But what we see in that is that Herod, even with his evil intentions, his desire was to arrest, imprison, persecute, maybe murder as many of the followers of Jesus as he could. But we see that the work of God cannot be stopped by evil, even the evilest of people. That it would have been easy for these first followers of Jesus to say, we're scared. We know what his intention is. He's already killed one of us. He's imprisoned another one. And yet this is what it says in verse 24. But the word of God continued to spread and to flourish. So even though Herod had set out to destroy these people, even though there's a lot of ways that they could have been afraid, they could have felt like the ground underneath them was unsteady, that they should go hide, they should try to escape, try to numb the reality that they're facing. Prayer was the lens through which they perceived God at work in their midst. And I think the question for ourselves is, can we perceive that as well? My daughter needed glasses to be able to see normally. Sometimes for us to be able to see what's actually happening in our world, we need to be in prayer. So go back to that question I asked you. What happens if people stopped praying? I don't know. I don't know whether I believe in the sovereignty of God. I believe God can do what God wants to do, and nothing can stop that. It's inevitable. But if we stop praying, would God distance himself from us? Would he lift his hand? Would everything that God had planned happen? And I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this. If we stopped praying, we would not perceive anymore what God is doing in our midst. We would miss both the things he's protecting us from and the ways that he's blessing. If we stopped praying, we would miss all of that in our own lives, that we wouldn't be able to see what God is doing beyond our understanding. Go back to the Old Testament in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, it says this. This is after Solomon had built the temple to God. It says this. The Lord appeared to him at night and said, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land and send a plague among the people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I know what's happening in our world. And I know how unsteady things can feel. But the answer is not to numb ourselves to it or distract ourselves from it or try to escape it. The answer is to allow prayer to fuel us. The answer is for us to be in prayer so that we might see beyond our circumstances. That God is doing more than we can even begin to explain or understand in our world. And I know these first followers of Jesus, in a time they could have been afraid, their choice was to pray. And I hope Venture Church will be the same. One of the reasons we want you in venture groups together, so you might pray together. We want to be a church that's fueled by prayer. We want to be a church that's seized by prayer. And I know that prayer is intimidating. Like, you have to go to a special place, you have to say special words. Prayer is just like a conversation with a friend. be silent, be out loud, it doesn't really matter. Wherever you're at, you might be driving on the highway and have a chance just to be praying. Or maybe you could be here together to pray. And after the band comes up to play, some of our team will be up here this morning. If you want somebody to pray with you and for you, we are happy to do that as well. But we want to be a place that is fueled by prayer as well. Would you pray with me? God, we are grateful that you've not left us alone, that you continue to work in our world and in our lives, even beyond things we understand. And even in the times when we experience something that seems weird or unexplainable, we want to trust you. We don't need to be weird. But we can also be people that, through faith and through prayer, see that you do the unexplainable. God, would you help us see what you're up to in our midst through prayer? And God, we're grateful that you have not left us alone, but you have invited us into this relationship, this conversation with yourself through your Son, Jesus. And it's because of him and through him that we have hope beyond this life, and that we have hope that you will make all things right someday, God. We love you. Amen.
We're going to end by singing a couple of songs. I invite you to stand and sing with us.
In this broken place, within my darkest days, as my fears arise, Lord, I cry out your name. The storm I face bows down to you. When my spirit's crushed and my heart is torn, you rebuke the waves and lead me to the shore. The storm I face bows down to you. In every trial that I face, I claim the promises you made. Turn my wandering eyes to you. On this day, I find strength as I call out your name. I find hope through you, Lord, as I sing out your praise. I turn my eyes to you, Jesus. I turn my eyes to you, Jesus. Give me faith to see and help my unbelief in the mysteries of the grace you've given me. The storm I face bows down to you. In every trial that I face, I claim the promises you made. I turn my wandering eyes to you. On this day, I find strength Be my vision in the mystery. Lead me to your heart. In the waiting, I will listen. Show me where you are.
Through the highs and lows, all my life is yours. I will praise you anywhere. Love won't let me down. You're my solid ground. Full of faith, I will declare. I will trust you in every season. God, I will trust you. Withholding nothing, I'm letting go. Your ways are better. God, I will trust you.
You are present in my questions.
Help me to believe. I remember
All you've promised, you are all I need.
through the highs and lows, all my life is yours. I will praise you anywhere. Love won't let me down. You're my solid ground. Full of faith, I will declare. I will trust you in every season. God, I will trust you. Withholding nothing, I'm letting go. Your ways are better. God, I will trust you. When I'm thrown into the fire, even in the midnight hour, you can do anything. You will lead me through the test. In your providence I'll rest. Great is your faithfulness. When I'm thrown into the fire, even in the midnight hour, you can do anything. You will lead me through the test. In your providence I'll rest. Great is thy faithfulness. I will trust you in every season. God, I will trust you. Withholding nothing, I'm letting go. Your ways are better. God, I will trust you. You are greater than every mountain. God, you are greater. All powerful, your grace is enough. Your love surrounds me. God, you are greater. Greater. I know you are greater. Yeah. Your ways are higher. Your plans are better. Your ways are higher. Your plans are better. Your ways are higher. Your plans are better. Your ways are better. When I'm thrown into the fire, even in the midnight hour, you can do anything. You will lead me through the test. In your providence I'll rest. Great is your faithfulness. I will trust you in every season. God, I will trust you. Withholding nothing, I'm letting go. And your ways are better. God, I will trust you. You are greater than every mountain. God, you are greater. All powerful, your grace is enough. Your love surrounds me. God, you are greater. You're greater. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. Just a reminder, if you would like prayer for something, Ray and I will be here at the front of the stage to pray with you. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great week. See you right here next week.